So with the conclusion of the 6th series of Yugioh, Yugioh of Reigns, and the main character in that series, Yuusaku Fujiki, going undefeated throughout the entire series, if you don't count flashback duels of when he was a kid. We'll talk about that a bit later. This got me thinking, who actually is the best main character in Yugioh in terms of their dueling ability? And as soon as I thought of this question, I realized that nobody really wants to know the answer to this because everyone's going to be annoyed no matter who I say. If I said Yugi is the best, people will get annoyed. If I says Yuma's the worst, for example, people will get annoyed by that. So how do I make a video without annoying everyone and throwing in my personal favoritisms, my biases into the mix? Why? There's an easy answer to that. We use maths. Yes, in today's video, we're going to be looking at each one of the main characters. We're going to be going through how many duels they've had throughout the entirety of their anime appearances, as well as how many wins they had throughout all of this, how many losses, how many draws, how many DNFs. Then we're going to convert that data into a win percentage, and to make it fair, because some duelists are obviously going to have more duels than others, I'm going to allocate a point system, add all those together, so another way we're going to judge who is the best duelist. A couple of things you need to keep in mind whilst I talk about this data is that some of the main characters have 2 people inside of them, which sounds weird, but like you've got Yugi and Atem, you've got Yuma and Astral. For these characters, both of them count as the same person, so if the other part of them dueled through them, that still counts as winter losses. But for example, something like in a flashback or something like that, Astral, before he even met Yuma, that wouldn't count. I'm going to be getting all these results from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Wikia pages, so there's going to be probably a couple little inaccuracies, plus the fact that there is a chance that the data I have right here might not be 100% perfect, so keep that in mind. I'm doing my best, but I think what we get the results of should be quite accurate, and honestly, I've looked at the results. It's going to be surprising. Now, I want you to all keep in mind that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a lot more complicated sometimes than just wins and losses on a stats board. For example, a lot of the times in Yu-Gi-Oh! You will come in situations where it says that a character lost. However, due to the situations of the episode, you could make a case that it wasn't a loss. One of the biggest examples of this, I would have to say, is Yugi versus Seto Kaiba during Duelist Kingdom. Kaiba was basically threatening to kill himself, to throw himself off the side of a castle if Yugi won the duel. So Yugi, of course, not wanting to sacrifice Kaiba, refused to win, basically surrendered, so Kaiba got the win. To a lot of people, you could count this as a win because he was in a winning situation. However, he didn't take advantage of the situation. It's a horrible thing to say, but if he really wanted that win, he should have won. So in today's video, we're going to be very literal with the results. If somebody won a duel, technically, they have won the duel. Just because they could have won, or they surrendered because they wanted to give someone a life lesson or something, which we'll talk about a bit later, we're not going to count it. So it's going to be wins for the other person. So let's start with the first series and the first main characters, Yugimoto and Yami Yugi.
I do to the end, and it's not the end yet!
So first things first, this is going to shock quite a few people, and I honestly feel like this can't be right based on how many episodes there were, but Yugi and Atem only had 50 duels on screen, which compared to a lot of the other characters is actually quite low. Out of those 50 duels that they had 38 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw, and 4 DNFs. Now, I imagine people want me to explain those 7 losses because, to their knowledge, Yugi never lost. He was the best duelist. Well, let's quickly talk about these, shall we? Because this will be quite important later. The first L was against Pegasus at the start of the series. This was due to a timer, so Yugi might have been able to win, but the timer ran out. So, in my opinion, this is actually fair that Pegasus won this one. There was a timer, the rules were established. Never mind. The second L was to Seto Kaiba, but this was due to blackmail. This was when he was threatening to throw himself off the side of a cliff if Yugi didn't just give up. So, as unfair as that one is to say that Yugi lost, he didn't take advantage of the situation, which is a good thing, but it's still a loss, so I'm sorry. The third L was against Rebecca Hawkins. This was on purpose. He was trying to mirror the past. Grandpa surrendered, so Rebecca's granddad or father, I forget who he was now, he could get the glass of water. So it's just mirroring that kind of thing. So, yeah, it should be counted as a win, I guess, because he lost on purpose, but he lost on purpose, so it's still an L. This would go on his record. This one isn't an L, but it was a DNF, and it was against Joey Wheeler. This was at the end of Battle City. This is where Joey and Yugi were going to duel so that Joey could get his red eyes back. We never saw the conclusion to this episode, but Joey did get his red eyes after this. So you could make a case that, well, Joey beat Yugi. That's the only way he could get his red eyes back. Then you could make a case saying, well, maybe he lost. Yugi still gave him the red eyes. It's a bit up in the air, but yeah, it's a DNF, so it's still a DNF. This is the one that people always bring up as the proper L against Raphael during the Seal of Orichalcos. Of course, this is a filler arc, but it doesn't really matter. The Pharaoh lost, in my opinion, fair and square. People will say that the Seal of Orichalcos influence affected Yugi's judgment. He might have been able to win, but he just felt like the only way he could win was by playing the Seal of Orichalcos. To me, this is a legit loss, and well, I'm not going to change any of these results anyway, but still. We had another DNF where Jayden played against Yugi. We didn't see the climax of this duel, but it looked like Yugi was going to win this, so it's a shame we never got the conclusion to that. That would have been quite good. Of course, Yugi lost to Yugi. Yami lost to Yugi, so that still counts as a win and a loss, I guess. Something along them lines, regardless. But let's just jump back into it. We've got the wins 38, losses 7, draws 1, DNFs 4. This means that throughout the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters series, Yugi and Yami had an 84.44% win ratio, which is pretty good. It's not too bad. Let's jump in next to Yu-Gi-Oh! GX with Jayden Yuki.
Well, all right then. It's my turn to take a crack at you. Here goes.
Now, keep in mind, we're also going to be including the Supreme Kings duels, because that is Jayden as well. So what we have with Jayden is somebody that had a total of 100 duels, double that of Yugimoto's amount of duels throughout the series. So that's incredible, 100 duels. Out of those 100 duels, he won 80 times. He had 7 losses, he had 3 draws, and he had 10 DNFs, which is incredible score. That gives him a 91.95% win ratio, meaning it's higher than that of Yugi's. We'll just quickly run through some of his L's just to see if they're justified, not that I'm going to change them. He had an L against a friend in a flashback. Now, we can make some arguments about when do wins and losses started counting in the series. Is it when the series starts? If we have flashbacks to stuff that happened before the series, this is before his like professional career and stuff. I'm just taking L's from anywhere I see an L. He lost against his friend in a flashback before he was even playing an Elemental Hero deck. That's an L. Unlucky. He lost to Zane fair and square, which is a great duel. He lost to Kyberman. He lost to Cyrus in a simulation practice match. We could make an argument with that one because it's just a practice. It shouldn't really count, but it's going to ruin my scores if I start messing with everything. He also had an L against Asta Phoenix, which was fair and square, and I'm pretty sure he never lost after this. He just kept on winning, so good for you, man. Let's tear through these a little bit quicker now so we can get to the meat at the end. We have Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds with Yusei Fudo.
I summon forth the Synchro Monster, Junk Gardener.
He played a total of 62 duels. Out of those 62 duels, he had a whopping 50 wins, only 1 loss, never drew a single duel, but he did have 11 DNFs. And the only DNF I really want to talk about, just before we jump onto Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, is Callan Kessler's duel. He was gonna lose that duel, but he fell off his bike, so the duel was like void. To me, that was a loss because he had no cards that could have saved him at all. So to me, that was a loss. It's counted as a DNF, so I can't give him a loss, but still. There was also, I want to quickly mention that in the Crash Town episode, he did a 3 against 1. In situations throughout this where one duelist is playing against 2 or 3, I'm going to count those, so it's like 3 wins. You're playing against 3 people, but if it's a 2v2, that still only counts as 1 win because it's like fairer grounds then. But out of all that, he had a 98.04% win ratio, which is the best so far. Fantastic win ratio. Well done, you say. Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, we have Yuma Tsukumo and Astral as his companion.
Rise on up, number 39, Utopia!
He had a total of 95 duels, which is a hell of a lot, but out of those 95 duels, he had 52 wins, 33 losses, which is the only one of the main characters to break double digits in losses, which is, oh dear, 33 losses. He had 1 draw and 9 DNFs. So this gives him a 61.18% win ratio, which is the worst so far. I do want to point this out about Yuma. He had a lot of off-screen losses. 23 of these losses are against Bronk, just off-screen, where he's like, I can't believe I've lost to you 17 times in a row. Something along them lines. Next up, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 with Yuya Sakaki.
My monsters are ready to swing into action!
He had 60 duels. Out of those 60 duels, he had 43 wins. He had 4 losses, 1 draw, 12 DNFs, giving him a total of a 91.49% win ratio, which is really good. Yuya had a lot of multi-duels. He had a Yuya versus 4 people and another one that was Yuya versus 3 people, so I've took those into consideration. That's a really good score, above 90%, well done. Finally, the most recent series, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns with Yuusaku Fujiki.
I have 3 reasons why I cannot and will not be defeated.
He only played 32 duels throughout his entire series, which it feels so little really, but out of those 32 duels, he had 26 wins, 3 losses, and 3 draws. Now, people might get annoyed about this one because technically he didn't lose throughout the main part of the series. However, all of his flashbacks to when he was in the Lost incident, when he was a little kid, they were all losses. It was against like a dueling robot or stuff, but there were losses. So this is where you could make a case they shouldn't count flashbacks because they're still a kid. They're not like in their professional career, but regardless, I'm counting them as L's. He also had 2 draws against Revolver and 1 draw against Bowman. I just thought I'd throw that out there. So overall, he had an 89.66% win ratio, just squeaking away from that 90%. Okay, so now we know all the statistics. Let's jump into the meat of this. Who actually is the best main character? We've got loads of things to consider here. So let's start with the first one. This is the most amount of duels that a duelist had. The reason why I think this should count as a statistic, this is just how much these characters are throwing themselves out there. They're willing to risk their win-loss ratio by continuously dueling, and I think that's something to be respected. Out of all of the total duels a character had, Jayden Yuki is in first place with 100. Yuusaku is in second with 95. Yusei Fudo is in third with 62. Yuya is in fourth with 60. Yugimoto is in fifth with 50. And Yuusaku Fujiki is in sixth with 32. So out of all those duels, we take their wins, we take their losses, and we find out their win percentage. So who had the best win percentage? In first place with the best win percentage is Yusei Fudo with a 98.04%. In second place is Jayden Yuki with a 91.95%. In third is Yuya with 91.49%. In fourth is Yuusaku Fujiki with 89.66%. In fifth is Yugimoto with 84.44%. And in last place with a terrible 61.18% is Yuusaku. People might get annoyed by the fact that Yugi is so low, but just stats, man. It's just what I'm reading. So for this next leaderboard, I've assigned points to wins, losses, and draws. A win is worth 3 points, a draw is worth 1 point, and a loss is worth 0 points. For this scoring system, it punishes people who have had lots of duels but have lost loads of times, and it rewards people that have had more wins despite maybe having less duels. So let's have a look at the results. In first place with 243 points is Jayden Yuki. In second place is Yuusaku with 157 points. In third place is Yusei Fudo with 150 points. In fourth is Yuya with 130. In fifth is Yugimoto with 115. And in last place is Yuusaku Fujiki with 81 points. Now, observant people will notice that these rankings are in the exact same order as the total amount of duels. However, for people like Yuya, Yugi, and Yusei, there's only like a couple duels in between them. So had they performed just a little bit better, they could have squeaked up in the ranks. So I think this is fair. It's just a coincidence that they happen to all be in the same place. But for someone like Jayden with so many duels, I mean, Yuma only had 5 less duels. He just didn't do as well. So yeah, that makes sense. So just before we jump into the final total of what I think should determine who is the best overall duelist out of all the main characters, you can take the win percentage score as a definitive answer. So if you want to go by the win percentage score, then this is the legit ranking of who is the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelists, with Yusei Fudo at number 1, Jayden in number 2, Yuya at number 3, Yuusaku at number 4, Yugi at number 5, and Yuma at number 6. Now, that might annoy some people, but that is their overall win percentage, and I think that is a good way of determining who is the best. This next one, I'm going to be adding up a total amount of points on these 3 categories: the win percentage, the most amount of duels they had, and the duel score. So you could make a case that this isn't the most accurate, but regardless, this is my final total. If they came first in any of these categories, they got 10 points. Second is 8, third is 6, and so on. So in last place and the least best Yu-Gi-Oh! Main character is Yuusaku Fujiki with 8 points. In 5th place is Yugimoto with 9 points. In 4th place is Yuya with 14 points. The bronze with 3rd place is Yuusaku with 18. In silver, second is Yusei Fudo with 22. And at number 1 with the gold is Jayden Yuki with 28 points. Now, honestly, when I went into this video, these are not the results that I was expecting by any stretch of the imagination. I would never have thought Jayden would be at number 1 for nearly everything. Jayden, total amount of duels, number 1. Duel score, number 1. Win percentage, number 2. But yeah, he does quite well. He's actually a really good duelist. He might not be the most serious. Yusei Fudo didn't actually have that many duels, really. He had 62 duels. He came third in that one. Yusei also came third in the duel score. However, Yusei was the number 1 in win percentage with 98. He's so close. He was 6 points off of getting the number 1 position. Yusei could be argued is one of the best characters, and I'm glad that he's second. The third place with Yuma Tsukumo, I didn't expect that one. I don't know how I feel about that as well. He has the worst win percentage. But what he does make up for in his win percentage is just the amount of duels he has. He had 95 duels, and if you tally up all the points he's had... My argument for Yuma being third, and the fact that he's getting so high up just because of the amount of duels, is he's willing to put himself out there. If someone had 1 duel, and they won that 1 duel, does that mean they're better than someone that had 100 duels, and out of those 100 duels they had 90 wins? So it's just that kind of argument. And I think the fact that Yuma put himself out there, even though I don't personally think he's the best, statistically, I guess he did a good job. Yuya fourth, that makes sense. I never thought Yuya was particularly amazing, but he was okay. Yugi at 5th, that's going to rile some people up. The fact of the matter is, Yugi actually didn't duel anywhere near as much as I thought he would have. 50 duels is quite low. This is including the movies. This is including all of the anime series. It doesn't include Season 0, but 50 duels, I thought he would have had more, and out of those 50 duels, he had quite a lot of losses where he just let other people win, but unfortunately they count as real losses. You can make an argument that you could take away the fake losses, and you probably could bump his win percentage up, but unfortunately 84.44% win ratio is the 5th lowest on this list for a win percentage, so sorry Yugi. And Yuusaku at last, I was shocked at, because Yuusaku has an 89.66 win percent ratio. If I didn't count those flashback losses, he would have been undefeated. He would have been the only character on this list with a 100% win ratio. If you don't want to count those flashback duels, that's completely up to you. But the fact of the matter is, he only had 32 duels throughout the series as well. So, I mean, if he didn't have those 32 duels, we take away those 3 flashback duels, he's got 29 duels. There's not that many at all, really. So, yeah, guys, that was my overall list on the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Statistics. This was made for fun. Some people are going to take this a bit too seriously. Please don't take it seriously. This isn't my opinions. This is just facts I found. If these facts are wrong, there might be some discrepancies. You probably can go with that. I gathered all this from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Wikia win-to-loss ratio things for the decks they played and the wins they had and things like that. The only one I think I've counted in here, which you probably could make a very good argument, I probably shouldn't have, is Seto Kaiba versus the hologram of Yugi. That really shouldn't count. That's a Seto Kaiba win and not a Yugi loss, but I think I just forgot to take it out, so sorry. But yeah, guys, thank you all for watching this video. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Do you agree with this list? Do you heavily disagree? Let me know in the comment section below. What are your actual rankings of who you think should be the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Main character? And if you can make a better version of this video, then I actually do agree. You probably should. Send me a link to it as well if you do. But guys, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye, everyone.